So hi, hello guys. Today I'll show you how to make this. This is basically ledge jump from one ledge to another. Okay, this character detects ledges and it can jump from one to another. Right now I have a single animation tied to it, but depending on the distance and everything, you can add different types of animations. And yeah, even if you want to do ledge grabs instead of just going on top of this, you can even do that. Basically, I'm using motion warping for teleporting this guy from one point to the other. But the basics is you just need to get the point where you need to land and need to reach. So first I'll show you what is going on behind the scenes, all the calculations. Then I'll show you what I'm doing to get this character to that point. And that second part, what I'm doing to get this character to that point, can be changed depending on your requirements. May like if you want him to grab the ledge or throw something at that point or anything like that. Basically, first we'll see how to detect a ledge and to reach a ledge, how to detect a ledge, and then we'll see how to reach that ledge. So firstly, let's see what is happening. So let's say that this is a platform, okay, and this is another platform. All right, and here we have our character. So firstly, what I'm doing is I'm doing a check right in front of my character. So how do I show which is the front of my character? Yeah, let's say this is his nose. All right, so this is where my character is facing. All right, right now I'm doing this with axis forward location, but if you wanted to do with um, your movement inputs or any analog inputs, you can do that as well. But right now I'm doing it with my axis forward location. So once uh, I press the button, what happens is firstly a line trace has been drawn in front of my characters a few centimeters ahead. So what this does is um firstly, this line has a particular length, which is it goes from my character's head height to a few centimeters below the ground. So, like, not this long, but you can say like this much. You can edit this how long you want. All right. So, basically, what this line does is um, it checks if we are on the ground or not. So if this raycast hits something here or here, basically anywhere, if it hits something, then it means we are not on the edge. Because if we are on the edge, it won't hit anything. And once it doesn't hit anything, then it registers that yes, we are on the edge of the platform. So what to do now? So once we are on the edge of the platform, what we need to do is create three box traces. So I'm creating box traces, but if your game requires spear traces or anything else, I'm creating three. If you need more, you can do that also. But let me show you the philosophy behind it. Let me tell you that. So firstly, I'm creating a box trace which is this size approximately. Then I'm creating another one which starts from here and is a little bit bigger than this. Then I'm creating a third one which is equal size to the first one. All right. So these box traces, you can set them anyhow you want. Make this first one the biggest, second one the smallest, third one the medium, or however you want depending on your game. But right now I'll tell you why I'm doing this in this particular way. So we are making three box traces. We can make a single box trace as well, but three because this is the way to get it look natural for the player to make it feel natural. All right, so these three box traces goes from one 1, 2, 3. All right. So what happens is first we make the first box trace. If this doesn't hit anything, then we move on to the next one. If the second one doesn't hit anything, then we move on to the third one. And if third one doesn't hit anything, then well, we cannot reach that spot. We will just normally jump or stop the character from jumping, whatever your game needs. So let's say we hit something at box second, all right, at box 2. Then the third one will not be uh, um, trace. The third box will not be created, and from here, from the second box, we'll do some calculations. All right. So let me show you this inside the game. Let me show you what is exactly happening. So yeah, as you can see, there is a purple line which is the line trace. Checking if we are on the edge. If right now I have a normal jump, if my character doesn't have anywhere to jump to. All right, as you can see right now here, I'm not on the edge, so rest of the things are not being calculated. The reason I'm doing this step by step, like first the purple line, then the red box, then the orange one, then the yellow one, it's because of performance, because I don't want everything to be calculated if it is not needed. I want only those things which are needed to be calculated. All right, so the reason I'm doing it like this, the reason I'm trying to make this shape is because if I'm is basically it is because of the accuracy that the player feels they need. All right, so if you are very close, so right here, all right, if we are trying to get to this point, so the accuracy should be very sharp. All right, because I have a lot of accuracy, like even a slight change in the movement or rotation, even the slight change in the rotation can change where the player wants to go. All right, but right where the orange box is, there we want it a little bit bigger. So let's say I'm looking here, so the player approximately wants to go there to the next one. All right, so that's why I have the second one bigger, but the third one is again smaller, because when you are far away, you just don't want it to, let's say right now I'm here, okay, and I want to go to that box, this one. So if the last one is bigger, it will also calculate this blue box, which we don't want. All right, so that's how the accuracy goes from very accurate to a little bit fuzzy, then to very accurate. These shapes you can change according to your game's needs. All right, so once we are done with this box check, what do we do next? So let me show you what do we do next. All right, sorry. Yeah, this is what we do. Spear traces. So let's say we hit the ground somewhere here. All right, so what we do is we create spear traces. All right, yeah, we create multiple spear traces from the start of this box. All right, you create multiple spear traces like this, then one below. We do that until we hit something. So right now here we hit something. If our ground was somewhere here, oh sorry, I'm sorry that I'm taking so long before I go to the actual coding stuff, because these concept needs to be clear before we hop onto the real part. So let's say our ground is somewhere here. So if the first box ticks, all right, if it checks, then what we do is we make the spear traces from the first box like this. All right, that's what we do. So let's say once this spear is this checks something, all right, then what we do is, oh, we get the point where it has hit something. All right, this is the point where we have hit something. Yeah, this is the point where we have hit something. Then we go a few centimeters ahead, and here we create our point where we want to go. All right, now we have a point where we want our character to go. This might be enough for some people, but for the character's jump to look very natural, what we need to do is divide this length, like carry from here to here. Okay, from character's position to this point, divide it by half and add that half to the vertical side. So we'll get something like this. And here what we do is we make another point. So this will be the apex of our jump. And now we can have a nice curvy jump. So if I were to show you that, those points that we are creating. Sorry, this tutorial will be a little bit long because there are a lot of calculations that needs to be happening. So yeah, as you can see, the purple star is where we want to go, and the orange one, yellow one is the apex. So yeah, as you can see, if we don't have that apex, then our jump will look really unnatural, like really unnatural. All right, yeah, you can play around that apex depending on the distance. Like if the distance is too long, then divide it by half. If the distance is a little bit short, divided by 3/4 or something. Yeah, so now that we get all these points, what we do is we motion warp our character's jump animation to this purple spot. All right, so yeah, now that you have all this what do you say, all this clear, that what we exactly want to do, let's get into it. Yeah, but before that, I'll show you why I'm doing those checks. All right, let's go here. Like, why am I having these purple check, not purple, these capsule collider checks? Because it can mess you up when, let's say, we are on the ground. Okay, like our ground is closed here, and then we have our object here. Okay, platform here. What will happen is it will also check the ground as your jumping spot. Then instead of going somewhere here, you will land somewhere here, which can happen. Let me show you. As you can see, it also, the middle box, right, it hits the ground too. So to prevent our character from jumping to the ground, and to make sure it always jumps to the platform that we want to go, we are doing these checks, these horizontal checks. Okay, so let's start. First, you'll need to create two functions. First one, you call it on edge detection. This will check if we are on the edge. Okay, and we'll do rest of those box traces. Then we need to make another function and call it vertical check edge jump, which will make those horizontal, sorry, vertical and horizontal. Vertical and horizontal edge check vertical and horizontal check edge jumps. All right. Well, name it or whatever you want, but yeah, let's move. Go ahead. This you need to connect to your jump button. Okay. Right now I have it connected to something else because I have a whole parkour system attached to it. But basically, attach this wherever you want to jump. May it be your space bar or any other way you are jumping. All right, maybe you are just jumping whenever you are on the edge, depending on that. Attach this wherever you want your jump to occur. All right, so let's go into this. So as you can see, I have a few checks. So this one is the purple line trace. I'm naming this with the colors because it is easy for you guys to remember and for me also. So what do we do first? First, we make that line trace. All right. So for that line trace, what we need to do is firstly create a line trace by channel. From here you can track line trace by channel. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, what we need to do is get our actors location and add a vector to it, and only on the z-axis add it by 100. All right, then get your actors rotation, get forward vector and multiply it by a small number like 50, like how far away you want that raycast to be. Like let's say I wanted 500. Let's see what happens. Now if I go here, I don't, yeah, you see how far that is. All right, so let's revert it back. Wait, revert back. Yeah, as I was saying earlier that you can have this purple line trace um, drawn depending on your actress forward location, forward rotation, or your inputs. All right, so this is where you do it. Right now I have my actress forward vector. Here you can have your inputs. I have already made an input direction thing. All right, you can make yours in any way that you want. So get that and multiply it by a number, which will be basically how far away you want, how further away you want your line trace to be. All right, add those both up and plug it into the start. And for the end, what we want to do is this will be, we need to subtract it only on the z-axis, and the number we subtracted with is basically your character's height plus a few centimeters. Like let's go here in my capsule collider. The half height is 90, so 90 plus 90, how much is it? 190, sorry, sorry, 180, right? So I have it at where is it, at 250. All right, a few centimeters ahead. So where were we? Yeah, so now we have our start and end. This is just debugs, just to show you whatever is happening. So this trace channel will be visibility, and we need to ignore self. We need to ignore self in all these traces. Okay, so once we have a purple trace being traced, what we need to do is, if it hits something, all right, we do not want to jump. So this is basically my jump system, and here I have point to go. All right, I'll show you. This is basically an event which triggers my jump animation basically. So here I have an input which is named, which is a boolean named has point to go. So if I have a point to go, it will go to that point. If I don't have a point to go, it will just do a casual normal jump. All right, as you can see, if I have a point to go, it will do all these things, which is basically motion warping and animation, motion warping and stuff. And if I don't have anything, it will just do a casual normal jump. As you can see, this is what it does. Yeah, I have now nowhere to go, right? Even here, I'll have nowhere. I have nowhere to go, so he will just casually normally jump. Yeah. So if it does not hit anything, which means we are on the edge. So once we are on the edge, what we do is we create that red box trace, which is the closest one. This one, the closest one to us. For this, we are doing the same thing as we have done here. We get the actor location, okay, and now we, on the Z axis, we add -70. All right, and then actor's rotation get forward and we multiply it by 100, and then we plug it into our start. Same way for the end, we do the same, but rather than multiplying by 100, we multiply it by 200, and then we plug it into the end. Now in the half size, I have it 5, and the Y I have 10, and the Z, which is vertical, I have it at 100. And the orientation of this box should be actor's rotation, and this is very, very important for it to be equally to actor's rotation, or what that input rotation, if you're trying to get that input rotation. Why? Let me show you. If I detach this, let me show you what happens. As you can see, let me show you. As you can see, it gets narrower or wider depending on the world rotation that you have. Okay, if you are not facing the actual forward direction of the world, then it will morph itself and become smaller. So we do not want that. So that's why orientation is important. All right. And all these values that I'm talking about, the 100, 200, -70, 5, 10, 100, you can play around them and uh, and put it whatever you want, like depending on your game. Okay. So what happens if we do not hit anything? Okay, first we'll go with what happens if we do not hit anything, then we go with what happens if we do hit something. All right, let me delete these. All right, yeah. So let's say the red box, this box does not hit anything. Okay, we do the same, exactly the same. We just like copy paste it. Okay, and we do yellow box trace. We do exactly the same, but just the difference is here in the forward I have started it with 100 and ended it with 200. So right now here we need to start it with 200. Okay, we need to do this for the next one too. The point where we end the first initial one is where we start the next one. All right, so we get the forward vector, and here 200, 500, this will be -70, and here we added 5, 10 and 100, Here I have it at 10, 30 and 150. Orientation as usual, axis rotation. If you want it to be your movement input, plug that in. Now next, again, if even the yellow box does not hit anything, okay, then we go to the last one. Oh, sorry, this is not the yellow one, this is the orange one. Orange. If this does not hit anything, then we go to the last one and we do the yellow box trace. All right, we do the yellow box trace. So here it is the same, but instead of 200, we are starting it where the initial one ended, which is 500, and this is 700. You can do this 1000 or whatever if you want it longer, smaller. Then plug it into start and end. Here I have added it. These numbers are same, exactly the same to the first one, but yeah, again you can play around with these numbers and make it according to your game's desired needs. All right. So what happens if even this one does not hit anything? Then we just call our jump function, jump event, where we are just jumping. And as you can see, as point to go is negative, which means I do not have a point to go. All right. Because yeah, as you can see, if this first, second or third one, okay, neither of this collide with anything, then we don't have anywhere to go. Then we just do the casual normal jumping that you have in your game. Okay, so once we have done that, so what do we do when we do have somewhere to go? We do these checks. All right, these horizontal checks. So for that we created this vertical and horizontal check at jump function. So that is what we call. So in that function right here, all right, in this function, what you need is first create a few inputs. All right, do we have any? Yeah, create a few inputs, which will be the start vector, end vector, the radius, and these two are just debug things which you don't need, but you need these three: the start, end, and radius. If you don't know how to create it, just create input, name it whatever you want, my new input, and here you have your boolean to vector and whatever. All right, so once you have created these inputs, what we need to do is go here in our on edge detection thing. Okay, and for these three traces, which is red, orange and yellow, these three box traces, in here if we do hit something, okay, I guess we don't need this now. Okay, we do not need those hit results. If we do hit something, what we need is for the start to be exactly like this, exactly what we are doing for the box traces. Okay, exactly like that, but we just add a few centimeters towards z axis, which is the upward axis. All right, and what value should we add here? Right, you can play around with that value as you want, but right now what value am I adding here? The value I am adding here is the same, which is the half size. Okay, which is the half size z of the box trace. That is what I'm adding. So what that will do is, half height is basically this, so it won't, if you have that to 0, All right, if this is 0, like 0 0 0, it will start from here. All those traces will horizontal traces will start from here, which is what we do not want. Okay, we want them to start from the top side of the box. So that's why we add the half size on the z axis, and for the end we add the end just as it is. All right, as you can see, 150 150, and then again here we have it 100 100. I'll show you what happens if we do not add anything, just 0. Okay, this was for the first one, right? For the orange one, I'll show you. Yeah, as you can see, it starts from the middle, which we don't want, because what if our object is above us, above the chest height or something? Okay, so yeah, and yeah, that's how you get, where were we? Yeah, that's how you get the starting and the ending position. Now what we need is the radius. All right, radius, it is, it will vary according to your the box that you are in. Okay, here I have this this radius will be basically the half size y. Okay, but I recommend you to add a few centimeters to the half size y. Okay, as you can see, here it is 10, so I have it at 15. Here it is 30, so I have it at 35. Okay, this is basically just to uh, get more accuracy type thing, right? Like if it is barely, like if it is literally barely hitting something, even then it will get a point for us to go. All right, so just because of that, I recommend you to add a few centimeters to this. So basically the radius will be the y, half size y. Okay, now we have all these connected to the box trace. When the box trace hits something. All right, now we go into the vertical and horizontal check edge jump. So let me just show you initially first what exactly happens. Yeah, as you can see, these are the traces that we need to make for us to calculate the jump. I'll turn off the box traces for now so that you can clearly see those line traces. Oh, sorry, not line, capsule or spear traces. All right, so let's get into it. Firstly, what we need is a for loop with a break. Okay, this will look a little bit yeah, let me just disconnect that. I'm so sorry for that, taking your time. Yeah, firstly what we need is for loop with break. What this will do is create this horizontal spear traces, okay, until we hit something. All right, so in the loop body we create a spear trace by channel. In the spear trace by channel we get the start, okay, and add it to a vector, and then we split the vector. Okay, then we split the vector, get the index. Okay, so for first index it is 0, last index you can have as many checks as you want. If you want 5 checks, 10 checks, 15 checks, 30 checks, well, it depends on you. Okay, what you play around with that number. Okay, but be careful with this number. You don't want it to be very high. All right, so get your index and then multiply it by the radius, but multiply it by minus 1.7. Hold on. Yeah, all right. So you get this index and then multiply it by radius, okay, and make sure to multiply it by a negative number, because if you don't do that, it will give you a really weird glitch, which is, I quite forgot why I added this, but yeah, you need that, because if you don't, yeah, this will happen. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, multiply it by a negative number. Right now I have it as 1 minus 1.7. You can have it at minus 2, or you can have it at minus 1 as well. I have checked that minus 1.7 works good for me. All right. So once you have multiplied it by this, then split this addition vector and add this only into the z. Okay, and this will give you your start. All right, and for the end of those traces, okay, what we need to do is get this end, break that vector, okay, get this start vector, break it as well, and we want the end vector is x and y value and the start vector is z value, okay, and you make a vector and you add them accordingly. This end vectors x and y, this start vectors z axis, z value. All right, then you add it to your actor rotation, actor's forward vector. Okay, get actor rotation and get that forward vector and multiply it by 20, and then this will give you your end, okay, end point. And now you can just drag your radius and add it into this. Okay, this will give you those horizontal um, line traces which you are getting, which is these. You can stop here. Okay, you can stop here and get that location, that hit location, or you can get that impact point or that normal or anything you want. Okay, basically right here you actually get the point, but we can go a step further just to make sure our character lands in the perfect spot. Okay, so once we do hit something, okay, we want this loop to stop because we don't want to uh, create those 10 traces all the time. These 10 traces will happen if this does not hit anything, which actually won't happen. It will hit something at some point, but just in case. So if this does not hit anything, it will just do a normal jump. As you can see, has point to go, no. Well, this will never happen, but well, let's just have a backup. Okay, so when it does hit something, okay, so what will this do is basically create a trace. Oh yeah, the reason why you need to multiply it by a negative value is so that these traces go like this. We have a trace here, okay, then we multiply it by some value, then it goes here, then it goes here. Okay, if we don't multiply it by that value, okay, then it will create like overlap, okay, on one place there will be. Okay, so that's why we are multiplying it by radius and then a negative number. So you want this radius, okay, this will be the radius, sorry, that will be the diameter, this will be the radius. Okay, we get that radius and then a few centimeters below we create this. All right, that's what we are doing here. Now I remember. So yeah, once we hit something, we break the loop. Okay, we break the loop, so the loop is completed. And from completed, what we need to do is create another spear trace. But this spear trace will be the vertical one. I'll show you uh, what this is. Yeah, we'll create such a spear trace again. Now, why are we doing this? We are doing this just to get an accurate place for character to jump. All right. So what we do is we get the out hit, we break that, break hit result, okay, and expand that. And when we expand that, we take the location. All right, we take the location, gets actor forward vector multiplied by 20, just try like here, multiplied by 20. Okay, add it to the location and then add it to another vector which is in Z, it will be 150. And for the end, we get the location again, do exactly the same thing, but here in the Z, it will be minus 100. Okay, so this is basically from where we want to start our spear trace and where we want to end it. Okay, so that's why we have this. If I make it like 100, you can see what happens. Yeah, as you can see, it starts from there, but that might give you a few bugs depending on where you start your um, horizontal traces. So according to that, you have to start your Z. So let me show you what I mean by that. So as you can see, it should start from the first one right here. Okay, the first spear trace that we do. Okay, the vertical one should start from there. That's why we have it here 150. Okay, just try to match that. If you are using different values, try to match that. All right, and that minus 100, even that is the same. So once we create this spear trace, the radius, well, this radius I am using the exact same radius that we are getting from here, which is basically this 15 and 35. All right, but you can change this as well. Okay, let's say I do this as 10. As you can see, it will give me some problem. If I do this 50, really big, it won't give me much problem here, but in some places, some like really narrow places, it will give me problem. So oh, yeah, just play around with this number as well, see what is working for you if you are using different values. All right, so what do we do next? So right now we have a point where our spear is touching the, what do you say, touching the ledge. As you can see, there is a small little yellow and red square right on the edge. Okay, that is where our edge detection is happening. So it has detected another edge, but we don't want to like drop right on the edge, because if we drop right on the edge, yeah, the character will fall. We want a point a few centimeters ahead. So what do we do now? Again, we break this vertical spear trace. Okay, we break the hit result, and here we get the impact point. Okay, right here we were getting the location, but here we need to get the impact point. So this can warp is something that you will need if you add the warping as well. Okay, so um yeah, I'll just turn off these so I can show you that land positions, the next part that we are going to do. All right, so here, if this hits something, okay, and if it doesn't hit something, if it doesn't hit something, which won't actually happen, but still, as you can see, I have that my jump event, and the point has to go is null. Okay, we don't have a point to go, so it will just do normal jump. This won't actually happen, like we won't actually go to the false, but just in case, if you have a moving platform, let's say, in those cases this is important. Okay, so moving on, if we do hit something, what we need to do is, here I have created some variables for my parkour system, which is vault position, middle position. All right, you need to do that as well. Create three vectors. Okay, do not create them in like local variables, create them as normal variables. Okay, public variables, don't make them public, but like here in the main event graph. Okay, there, those variables: vault land position, vault middle position. Okay, you can also have vault start position, but right now for the jump we don't need it. Okay, this is basically now similar to the vaulting. Okay, vaulting motion warping that you might have seen in other tutorials. So we need a vault. I have named it vault land position and vault middle position, but it is basically our land position and the apex position. All right, so yeah, how do we get those positions? First we get that impact point. Okay, then we get the actor forward. In your case it might be that input forward. Okay, and multiply it by a few centimeters. This is basically how far you want that point to be. If I do this 100, as you can see, the point is now far away. If I do this at 10, it is right here. So depending where you want your point, you have this. This is basically how far inside you want to land on your platform, right on the edge. Or if you do the 0, like not 0, let's say 1 multiplied by like 1, which is nothing, it will land right on the edge, like exactly right on the edge. So this might create a problem sometimes, that your character is reaching that but falling down if your capsule collider is not that big enough or something. Anyway, we get that impact point, add this forward, and this will give you your land position, and then you need your middle position. This will just give you the apex of the jump. So for that, you get that actor location, then you get the distance from your land position. Okay, the position where the point where you want to land, and your actor's location. Okay, get that distance, divide that distance by 3. Now this 3, this is basically your, how high up you want your apex to be, how you want your apex to be. If I divide it by 2, as you will see, my apex changes. As you can see, the apex changed. If I divide it by 5, it is much more forward now. Okay, but for me the 3 works fine. Okay, also you can have this depending on the distance. If by that what I mean is, if the distance is between distance is 100 meters. Okay, um hold on. Yeah, not 100 meters. Let's say the distance is like 3-4 feet, then you want it to be 2. If the distance is more than 3 feet and less than 5 feet, you want it to be 5 or something. Yeah, you can do that as well. Okay, so get this divided value. Okay, get the actor forward vector and then multiply it by this. Okay, so once you have done that, get the impact point. Okay, subtracted by this value and then split this. All right, if you don't split, so let me show you what I mean, what I'm doing here. I get that subtracted value, I split the vector. Okay, I just put in my x, drag in my y, and for the z I add in 100. Okay, so why am I doing this? If I don't do this, you'll see how do I get my value. Yes, as you can see, that point is exactly right alongside on the same value as my land position. All right, so that's why I'm adding 100. Again, this you can play around, and as we were doing here. Okay, as I said, you can have this value like this 3 division value depending on the distance. You can do the same here. Depending on the distance, you can change this value from 100 to 50 to 500, whatever, however you want it. This is basically just to make your jump look natural. Oh, sorry, just for your jump to look natural. Okay, so now you have your land position, your middle position, and once you have that, just call in your jump. Okay, and right now here has point to go is checked, and here you will have all the calculations done, and you have your land position and middle position. Sorry, the tutorial is a bit long. It's already an hour long. Yeah, so after all this calculation that we have done, okay, let me disconnect my actual jumping. After all these ray casting and everything, we will get our points that will take us to um, the desired place, desired edge to jump. All right, as you can see, it will work everywhere, even here. And if I'm here, yeah, I can jump even on this tiny little beam. And if I'm on, let me just show you. It will get values from anywhere to anywhere. Okay, even if it is very close, you can jump, and even if it is quite far and quite thin, you can jump as well. All right, by jump I mean you will get those points. So once you get those points, well, we are done with the first half. Now if you have something else to do with those points rather than jumping, if you want to spawn something or anything, go ahead and do that. But now if you want to do what I'm doing, jump by motion warping, okay, what you need to do is quite long. Now if you have seen different videos where you have motion vaulting by motion warping, this is exactly the same thing that we are doing here. Okay, so first what you need is an animation. All right, a root motion animation. let this open. So for the actual jumping to take place, what I'm doing is I have this animation, okay, which is basically a root motion animation. I guess it is root motion animation. Yeah, it is a root motion animation. I guess a non-root motion animation works as well, but you can play around with it. Check if it works for you or not. So I have an animation, okay. Right now I have its root motion turned off, but yeah. What you need to do is make a montage, okay. I have a montage right here, okay. In this montage, um, yeah, before you do that, after you, okay, once you have this montage created, what you need to make sure is that go into the edit, plugins, and you have your motion warping. Yes, this motion warping plugin turned on, okay. If you don't have it turned on, turn it on, and then it will ask you to restart the engine. Do that, restart your engine, because if you do not restart your engine, it won't work. It needs a restart, okay. And if you already have this motion warping turned on, nice and good. So once you have this motion warping turned on, what you need to do is go into your animation, okay. Now right where it starts jumping, okay, create a motion warping notify state. So here in notifies, okay, right click, notify, like add notify. Don't go to add notify, go to add notify states, okay. In add notify state, you will find here montage, not montage, motion warping. If you don't, just write motion warping, okay. This should show. If this doesn't show, that means that plugin is not installed properly, okay. Motion warping, add this, okay. So once you have added that, so the first one, what we will do is from the point where he jumps to the apex of the jump, okay, apex of the jump animation, that's where we are going to end the first one, okay. For the second one, from the apex, okay, you can like start it from here, from the apex, but yeah, you can play around, start it a little bit behind as well, it doesn't matter. Just this is just to get the blend right, okay. You can start it from here, from here, from here, okay. Just test, just add it and test around, like whatever feels good in blending wise, okay. So add these two. This is basically a notify event, okay, like add notify, okay, a normal notify that I have created, reset jump hop. I'll tell you what this is, okay. Basically you need these three, okay. You need these three things to jump, these two, these three things. Parker collision on off, Parker availability. You don't need to stress about this, because these are just something that I have in my parkour code. So these are related to that. And this is just a sound notify. If you want that, interested, add notify, play sound. It will give you this, and here you can select whatever sound you want. Okay. So what do we do if when we have added this, okay. For reset jump hop, I'll show you what to do later on, okay. First, motion warping, click on this, go here, here you'll see root motion modifier, okay. So in root motion modifier, you need to expand this, okay. Expand this here, make sure to check skew warping. If you don't see that, you write skew warp. Okay, skew warp, however you pronounce that. Okay, make sure to get that. Warp target name. Now this is really important. Whatever you name it here is what you have to name it here when we make this. Okay, so this is vault middle, and this is the next one is vault land. I have named them accordingly. Make sure to use the same names or it won't work. By same name, I am not saying that vault land this name, but whatever name you use here is what you need to use here when we make it. Okay, so for the vault middle, okay, we need vault translation checked and ignore z-axis checked. Okay, and add translation easing, I have it to linear. Okay, and warp rotation we need it to be checked off. Okay, but if you are doing it some other way, try checking it on and off. By that I mean if you are doing it with that input value. Okay, right now I am doing everything with my actors forward rotation, right? But if you are doing it with actors input value, then I guess you need this warp rotation to be checked on. Okay, so for vault middle, warp, I'll the I've used the same thing for vaulting, so that's why this is I've named this vault middle and vault whatever. Okay, so I'll call it warp middle and warp land for you to understand. Okay, so warp middle is done here. Then we go to the next one, which is warp landing. Okay, here again you needed to skew warp. Warp target name should be whatever you wish it to be. Warp point aim provider none. Just copy these values. All right. Warp translation we needed to be checked on, and ignore z-axis we need to be checked off. We don't want this to be turned on. And warp rotation I have it to false. Okay, but again if you wanted to have that rotation again, then play around with this. Okay, but if you are doing this exactly like me, then you can have it turned off. So this reset jump hop, what is this exactly? So here in my blueprint folder, third person folder, I have created a blueprint class which is a notify. So go here, blueprint class, and add notify. Don't add anim notify state, add anim notify. Okay, a normal anim notify. Once you have created, name it like reset jump hop or whatever you want. Double click. Okay, now in this I've created receive notify function, which is already here. I guess by default if it is in, then go here. Oh sorry, not here. In override, and here you will have this receive notify. Okay, so in the receive notify, from mesh component get your owner, from owner cast to your character, which right now I have this, and here you need to create two events. If this is basically my event where we jump, okay, then we need to create another event which is reset jump availability. Name it however you want, but what we are doing is we are resetting the jump availability. Why we are doing this, I'll explain you in a while. Okay, so basically we call this in here. All right, and after a jump is done, then we check this. Okay, so why are we doing this? if I don't do that, okay, and I have my jump button pressed, okay, I don't just tap it, I have it pressed continuously, it will give me this problem. Okay, it, even when jumping, it will keep on jumping. And yeah, it will give you a few errors, so that's why I have that. Okay, so once you have done that, go back to your event graph. Okay, in your event graph, we have created this edge jump player. Okay, I have created that edge jump player event. This will be basically your jump event. Okay, in this event you need to create an input. Okay, this is has point to go. So remember all these places where we added this has point to go on. Okay, we checked it to negative, and finally when we had a point to go, we checked it to has point to go, right? First, we do this only once. Okay, we don't want this to happen every time it is pressed. We need this to happen only when our jump is completed. Okay, we need this to happen only when the jump is completed, or else it will just keep on tracing that. Okay, keep on making our character to jump. Okay, we don't want that. So do once, connect this reset jump availability to the reset of the do once. Now in branch, what we get is has point to go. If we don't have a point to go, then as you can see, I have this normal jump. Okay, I have this normal jump. This is basically in your jump event, you'll find this in this input, enhanced input jump, you will find this jump. Okay, so I have some parkour stuff too, that's why I have it here also. But yeah, here you will find that jump, and on completed you will find stop jumping, which you have to keep it as it is. Okay, don't touch that. You really need this stop jumping on this completed button, or else you won't like jump again or something like that. Okay, where were we? Hold on. Yeah, yeah. So sorry, the tutorial is really going long. How long? Okay. So once you have a point to go, if you don't have a point to go, you normally jump. Okay, and after jump you reset it. Okay, because if you like, if you don't have that reset, it will just, yeah, you see what happens. So yeah, once you have done this, all the things that you need to do when you are not jumping, all right, you need to check is, I guess you don't need to check all this. Let me just check it for myself. Yeah, all these things you don't need. This is related to my parkour stuff. Okay, you don't need that, forget about it. So straight up right from here. Okay, first in this component section, okay, get your main component. Okay, here to your main thing, okay, add motion warping. So once you go here, you will see motion, you type motion warping, you will see motion warping. So add that. Okay, then drag it here. Okay, just like character movement plugin, you have that motion warping. From motion warping, drag and right, add or update warp target. uh, yeah, which is basically this. All right, target is, as you can see, it is similar one. Yeah. So now you might be wondering, I have all this things, and here we have only this. Well, basically split this struct, and you will have all these options. Okay, so remember I told you to use these exact names. Okay, so whatever you have here for the middle, copy this, come here and paste it. Okay, and for the vault middle position, you remember we have this, we created this vault position, start, middle, right? Middle, sorry, we didn't create start, we created middle and land positions. All right, so create those middle, get those middle position and land positions. All right, for warp rotation, use actors rotation. Okay, or your input rotation, whatever you want, if you are going that path. Okay, and plug it in accordingly as you see right here. Do the same for the vault landing, sorry, warp landing, basically the landing part. Okay, and here whatever you name you used here, use the same name here for the landing part, here for the landing part, and that land position you drag it and connect it. Okay, so once you have done this, go here, stop anim montage. Well, this is just a fail safe for my parkour system, as parkour system, but you can use it here as well, so that if you are already in some other montage, uh, attack montage or anything, it cancels and goes right into this montage. Okay, so you stop the previous montage, whatever is happening. Okay, so stop montage, get current montage, then we get this play montage. We don't need to get this play anim montage. We do not need that. We need play montage, which is basically play montage. Okay, this one. In here, you add your the montage that we created and added everything. Okay, all these things, add in that montage, play it, well, whatever you desire. And on interrupted, I have something like some parkour related thing which you do not need. So just in the completed, we again need to reset this, reset jump availability. All right, plug it in to the reset. All these options, this is basically our what do you say, um, this is my parkour system thing. You don't need that. But this particular thing, like a wall land position, I'm adding it to 2000 or something, like really absurd number. So I saw a tutorial in that for the vaulting system. In that tutorial, he asked us to do this, but he didn't really give an explanation for exactly why. But yeah, if your system starts to mess up, then try doing this. Okay, but it should not, I suppose. All right, so I guess once you have all these things attached, then your system should just work. Okay, and yeah, try around, try jumping around. Okay, and check if your system is working. If it is not, then Yeah, you might have missed something, because I guess I have covered everything that you need. Yeah, I've covered everything that you need. So now, at this point, you should have your jump available. Okay, your character should detect those ledges and should start jumping. So yeah, that's the tutorial. I know it is quite long. It is like almost an hour long, more than an hour long. So yeah, if I have missed something, okay, if you feel like I have missed something, let me know in the comments below. Or if you want another tutorial about some other things, let me know in the comments below. This tutorial was also the result of someone commenting and asking me to make a tutorial about this. So yeah, that is the thing. For the ledge grab thing, before I end the tutorial, for the ledge grab thing, if what you need to do is, instead of for the land position, instead of getting the land position exactly here, okay, few centimeters in the forward, you need to get it a few centimeters down. So you need to subtract this impact point. Okay, instead of add, you need to subtract, and in that z axis you need to subtract it. Then you'll get that ledge grab location to go to. Okay, for ledge grabbing, do that. And yes, this is how you detect your edges and jump to them. Okay, so yeah, with that I'll end the tutorial here. If you feel like I have missed something, or if you face any bugs, let me know in the comments below. I'll try my best to explain it, and if it is like really complex, I'll make another tutorial specially for you, explaining what I missed and what is giving you an error, and I'll try to solve it. Okay, so until then, have fun making games.